Hey everyone, I'm NornQueenAlexis and welcome back to the channel, and welcome to this review of Ephrael Stern. Ephrael Stern is one of my favorite Sister of Battle characters of all time. It's cool because she is a sister who has survived torture from a Keeper of Secrets where her whole squad was murdered and fused into her, which is kind of neat. Kind of makes her a psyker in a way because she has magic now. It's interesting. She's a psyker, but not a psyker at the same time, so go figure. But today we're going to be doing a rules review as well as going over a few other things. And yeah, so let's take a look. Ephrael Stern and Boytoy of the Bloody Tears. So right off the bat, we have the Ephrael Stern model, which I gotta say looks fantastic. It just looks absolutely terrific. I wish I wouldn't use that face. That face is weird. But Ephrael Stern. Stern was once a seraphim in the Order of Undaunted Lady, pretty much where every named character comes from. But fate had a greater things in store. On one planet of, I read that as almost penis. That is one letter away from being penis. Just saying. She was brought low by a follower of a demon of Slanesh. The same great demon had taken hundreds of Stern's sisters captive in a flesh prison called the Screaming Cage. So yeah, here's the story where all of her sisters die. Their souls get transferred into her because she is so pure and everything. But because of that, the Inquisition is hunting her down. She first appears in Psychic Awakening Book 1 for 8th edition. Now we're moving into 9th edition. So that's where her story is currently. Like, this is after Demonifuge. This is after everything. She was working with Yvraine for quite a bit of time, and you can see this in the first Psychic Awakening book. And yeah. So let's take a look at this model. Oh my god, this model is so good. I love this model. I love that she's going Super Saiyan. Like, I'm just waiting for people to put her hair as, like, gold or blue. Whichever Super Saiyan they're up to at this point, or maybe she's doing Ultra Instinct. But yeah, I love this model. So let's take a look at a stat line. 7-inch movement, so she is going to outpace most of your sisters. Weapon skill 2+, ballistic skill 3+. She's essentially a cannonass with this stat line. Strength and toughness 4. For a woman in 40k is something huge by GW, because they don't even give that to the Silent Sisterhood, which should have toughness 4 because they're 7.5 foot tall and fight alongside Space Marines and Custodians, of all things, but whatever. Wound 6, so she is rather tough. 4 attacks is pretty normal for a character. Leadership 9 and a 3+ save. She's an expert fighter, needs a blade to match, and hair is her weapon. So, her sword is strength 5, AP -3, 2 damage with no abilities. Kind of seems weird for a melee character not to have sword abilities. She seems alright. Damage characteristic of 2, she'll be making light work of most infantry in the game. If that's not already enough, she had enough of a reason for enemy units to keep their distance. Stern has a special rule. Stern's special rule certainly is. Demonifuge, named after the book, which I really like. At the start of your shooting phase, roll 2d6, add 2 to the result. If there are any chaos units within 18 inches of Ephrael Stern, on a 5+, the nearest enemy unit within 18 inches and visible to Stern suffers D3 mortal wounds. If the result is 9 or more, that unit suffers D6 mortal wounds. And result. If there are any chaos units. Okay, so yeah, if it's a chaos unit, you add 2. If not, it's just a 5+. And what's really cool is this is just a super smite. This is a smite without line of sight needed, or the closest enemy it needs line of sight without the closest enemy being needed for the target. So pretty good ability, solid overall. I would take her alongside an Inquisitor, especially like Kotias, to cast his psychic powers because he can get 3. So yeah, you can get some psychic power shenanigan going on with Demonifuge. Now keep in mind she's not a Psyker, as far as we know. And then we got Boytoy of the Bloody Tears. He absorbs wounds for Ephrael Stern, which is kind of cool. Movement of 8, weapon skill and ballistic skill 2 and 3, strength toughness 3, wounds 5 for attacks, leadership 9, 6+ save. He comes armed with a pair of dueling blades. He certainly has skills to use them. Okay, so its strength is only strength 3, AP -1, 1 damage. Makes 2 attack rolls for each. So he has 8 attacks with these weapons. So that's pretty decent, honestly. He might actually outperform Ephrael Stern in combat, which I think is funny. No, because she does the 2 damage. So he'll be smacking into light infantry, and she'll be smacking into heavy infantry. Mysterious Savior. Whilst this model is within 3 inches of Ephrael Stern, roll a d6 each time that model would lose a wound. On a 5+, it is not lost. Roll 1d6 each time that model would lose a wound. Huh, that works for multi-damage weapons. That's really cool. On a 5+, that wound is not lost. So yeah, this isn't he suffers them instead. They just don't get suffered. That's actually amazing. And then neither Ephrael Stern nor Boytoy can be your warlord. In addition, during deployment, you can set these models in the webway, which is kind of cool that they can deep strike, instead of setting them up on the battlefield. If you do, at the end of one of your movement phases, you can set up these models anywhere on the battlefield within 3 inches of each other and no more than 9 inches away from an enemy model. So they have deep strike, which is pretty good. I don't think I would deep strike these models. I don't know. It really depends. If Ephrael Stern has all the keywords for Sisters of Battle, she might jump into a Rhino. He might be able to as well, which is going to be interesting. Because I think the last duo pair that they did, they have a weird thing where she can ride in a Land Raider, which I thought was interesting. But I think they have queued that or fixed it. Whatever. So overall, her stats are not terribly impressive. She's Martyred Lady, which as a single model you don't really benefit from. She can benefit from a Canoness, so she can get the hitting on 2+, re-rolling, which is good. And if she maintains Martyred Lady, you can use Junith to buff her even more. You can actually use a Triumvirate to buff her attacks even more, and a Priest, so she can have 6 attacks, which might make her really, really, really solid. But she's not something that I would go out of my way to include in my army. That being said, I'm going to go out of my way to include her into my army, as always, because that's what I do. So, how would I use her? I'd have to use named character spam. Like, that's probably the best thing that I could do. Because the Triumvirate would give her +1. Priest would give her +1. So that's 6 attacks. That's pretty decent. She can get up close. I can keep her near Repentia, which would be pretty interesting. Repentia would outperform her. She could have a 4-up invo save. And then the ability to just shrug off damage, which is really good. How would I actually field her? I'm trying to gauge like where I would put her in my army, because Sisters of Battle, they're so the Exorcists are so expensive. Like, I don't see her being played in competitive play, at least right now. I don't know. Like, in a casual list, I would include her alongside an Inquisitor, include her alongside like a Priest, and just a ton of Battle Sisters, and just walk across the battlefield. I think that could be fun. But yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting. I'm curious. I want to know your guys' thoughts. Please leave them in the comment section down below. How would you use this model on the battlefield? And what about her Boytoy? How would you run him? And yes, I am going to keep referring you to it that way. So, yeah. Anyway, guys, I want to know your thoughts. Comment in the comment section down below. Be sure to like this video, because YouTube likes it when you like this video. It means that YouTube will actually show this video to somebody. And be sure to comment. I said comment again. Blah. Check the links in the description down below. There you can follow me on all sorts of social media, including Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Twitch. You can also be super awesome and support me on Patreon. Patreon goes a long way to help supporting the channel, especially now that I'm in Arizona and trying to pay off my car and save up for an apartment. So yeah, with that all said, I want to thank everybody for watching. As always, I'm NornQueenAlexis. I love you guys. Bye.